What's up, guys? I'm Joe Diemendroth, and this is Big Man Fitness. Great week. Hope you all had a wonderful Easter. Yeah, I did not put out a video for Easter. I decided to spend time with family, which I think is very important. So, spent time over there with them. Went down to our dad's house. It was an amazing time. The kids had such a good time. And I did something I haven't done in a very long time, probably a couple decades. I flew a kite. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Again, just hanging out with the kids, with the family, it was amazing. I had a wonderful time. I know they had a wonderful time. And I think we all just had a wonderful time together. So, this week, what are we talking about? Now, I've mentioned this before, and I decided to finally do a little deep dive into it. I heard a lot of people tell me, just cut out the carbs and eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Cut out the carbs and eat things like fruits and vegetables. Just cut out the carbs and eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Let's get into this. So when I was growing up, for many of you who don't know, I'm pretty old, born starts with the 1900s. Ooh, boy. I was born in 1981. Makes me fairly old now. When I was probably, 11 years old, in 1992, a thing called the Food Pyramid came out. And now the Food Pyramid was this kind of, I'll put it on screen here. It was the basis of healthy eating. It's, if we practice this, we're always eating healthy. Now, I will say, if you have no nutritional understanding whatsoever, that's a good start. That's a good, okay. You may not, it gives you a good starting point of, okay, this is where we're going with this, is what we're doing. It's, okay, we got this. But if you have any nutritional understanding, Food Pyramid, I'm sorry to say, it's trash. It is trash. So, the Food Pyramid, right? It starts, the basis of your daily diet should be, grains. So, breads and grains. And okay. I got you on that. The next tier, it's separated into 2 blocks, fruits and vegetables. Okay, not bad. The next smaller blocks, 2. There's 2 of them again. 2. Yeah, I'm not good at magic. Is dairy, and then beans, legumes, and proteins, or meats. Well, let's just say meats. And at the very top, the very tippy top, fats and sweets. Anybody see a problem with this? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah. So, if you didn't get that reference, that's a movie from when I was a kid that I absolutely love. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. But anyway, so we got, let's start at the very bottom. Biggest chunk. Grains. Well, first of all, for someone like me that's trying to lose weight, you don't want a lot of grains. We don't want a lot of carbs. We may be doing other diets, but we're trying to cut back on things that, we're trying to burn what our body already has. So we're not trying to put so much more fuel into it, if it makes sense. And again, we're going to go on this as 2 calories are not made the same. Okay, so there is no differentiation for breads and grains. There's no differentiation between whole grains and overly processed grains. So the food pyramid's not really telling you what is really the best for you or not the best for you, or it's just telling you to eat a lot of greens. Well, if you don't differentiate between like long grain brown rice versus just non-nutritional nothingness white rice, that's a big deal. You want this stuff with good nutrition. Again, no two calories are made the same. So having a calorie of long grain brown rice is so much more beneficial to a person than a calorie of non-nutritional white rice. And the reason I say non-nutritional white rice, there are long grain white rices out there that actually, though not quite as good for you as a person as long grain brown rice, but not too much worse off either. It's still nutritionally decent for you. It's still not a bad choice. In fact, I'm not a big fan of the grittiness of long grain brown rice. So I make a long grain white rice. Yeah, not quite as good, but it's not an overly processed rice. And I don't eat very much of it. In fact, I've nearly cut it out of my diet for now. That's going to be we're going to do a video on supplements here soon. The misconception of the supplements blows my mind sometimes. So anyways, so grains, right? There's no differentiation of the good healthy grains versus the grains that are just overly processed and not that good for you. Then we have the issue of we're going to go up to fruits and vegetables. Again, no two calories are the same. A calorie of broccoli is going to be totally different than a calorie of an apple. And depends on what kind of apple. We got, 40, 50 different kinds of apple. Some are super sweet, some are a little tart. So what kind of apples are we talking about? What kind of vegetables? What kind of fruits? You know, a calorie of an apple is totally different than a calorie of a banana. There's totally different vitamins and minerals depending on what you're eating. And a lot of fruits, compared to vegetables, have, yes, they are natural, but has a lot of sugars in them. And what is a carbohydrate at its most basic form? Your body turns it into sugar for fuel. So again, someone like me that's trying to lose weight, I'm staying away from fruits right now. I love fruits, don't get me wrong, but right now I'm staying away from fruits because of their natural sugars. They can spike your insulin when you eat them. So again, no two calories are made the same. Vegetables, again, a calorie of potato is totally different than a calorie of asparagus. A potato has different types of vitamins and minerals than asparagus does. Some fruits, some vegetables are considered superfoods, yet they're not differentiated against a regular vegetable or fruit. So having no differentiation of the needs of the human body when it comes to the food pyramid. And I know some of you are going to say, well, in 2011 they changed that. I don't remember hearing about it in 2011. When the food pyramid came out, yes, I was in school. I was in elementary school, but I felt like it was more prominent. It was in our Walmart. It was in our McDonald's. Up next to where you could order was the nutritional guides, and at the bottom was this food pyramid like symbol. Follow the food pyramid. I don't see much about my plate, right? Like it's. I feel like it's just they realized they messed up. They changed it, but they didn't make it as big as a launch or as important out there in the world because they knew they were very wrong, and they weren't explaining healthy eating properly. All right, so now we're up to dairy, and we're going to handle meats totally separate. Dairy, cheese, cottage cheese, and milk can't be any more different than fruits, grains, and vegetables. I mean, milk has good protein, good fats, and if you drink full-fat milk, it's actually not horrible for you to have a little bit. Cottage cheese, man, that thing is great, again, for fats and for protein. But cheese, a lot of cheese that we eat is highly processed. And we put it on everything. If you go to like restaurants, sometimes the cheese they add adds a couple hundred calories to your sandwich because of the cheeses they're using. They're using highly processed cheese instead of a good natural cheese. So the types of cheeses that we could take in, again, are night and day when it comes to is a highly processed, overly processed versus a natural aged cheese, which tends to be a lot more expensive. So people will go for that processed rather than a good cheese. Velveeta, we had a rule, right? If it doesn't melt but kind of burns, that's not real cheese. That's not real cheese at all. So having a good real cheese, good pasteurized good cheese versus a highly processed cheese. So dairy, again, no 2 calories are made the same. Calorie of whole full fat milk versus 1 calorie of American cheese is totally different from one another. No 2 calories are made the same. Meats. We're seriously just going to put all the meat into one lump sum? Come on. We want to go down this road? Alright, start walking, let's go. A calorie of chicken breast is totally different than a calorie of ground beef. And what kind of ground beef is it? Is it 80-20? 76-20-24? Is it 90-10? 93-7? That's what I try to buy if I'm getting ground beef. Steak. Steak is a totally different calorie. 1 calorie steak is totally different than ground beef. Even if you buy a sirloin steak and sirloin ground beef, 1 calorie of each is totally different. They also love using like things like red dye number 6 to make that ground beef look so much healthier and more inviting and fresher. So you more than likely will buy it and eat it. So that's another big one. That to me is huge. Things like that. We have, turkey, pork, fish. Fish is extremely healthy. Good salmon, tuna, ahi tuna, all the great fish out there that you can eat and grill up and make just a wonderful, good protein meal. Smoked salmon, amazing. I personally love tuna, white albacore tuna. Today for lunch I had some ahi tuna. Oh, chef's kiss. Shrimp, scallops, squid, all the seafood. It's actually really good. But 1 calorie of squid versus 1 calorie of ahi tuna done on the grill, or just ahi tuna period, are totally different from one another. And then we're going to throw beans in with them. Yes, they're high in protein. So for vegetarians and vegans, beans are a great option. Beans are totally different too. A pinto bean is totally different than a black bean, right? Like, we don't separate any of this in this food pyramid. It's just all lumped into one lump sum that you're supposed to, well, it's all good. The pyramid says so. I must consume it all. No. And that's where I think some of this confusion is coming from. But first, let's get to that top little tip of that pyramid. That little guy right there. Right there. Fats and sweets. You need good unsaturated fats for good heart health. That's not that up there in that little tip. That little guy right there. It's not telling you that. It's telling you that's the least important thing you should be eating. And now we're gonna go like, yes, there are good fats, there are bad fats. We can go over that whole thing. I've done the whole video on sugars. What's better for you, what's not so good for you, what to stay away from. A person like me, don't want too much sugar, if any sugar at all, if I can avoid it, because of trying to lose weight. Now, we get into the fact that, yes, I get it. I don't know a lot. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I don't know a lot about food. I am relatively a new beginner, and I'm able to call this stuff out. So why do I think this has skewed a lot of people's opinions? Well, when I hear from even my doctor, cut out the carbs and eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Well, fruits and vegetables should almost be put into the carb category, but not 100%. Again, no two calories are made the same. Some vegetables, my favorite happens to be broccoli, happens to be an amazing source of certain minerals and vitamins, but it also carries a little bit of protein with it. Another great vegetable, soy, you'll see soy protein powders or plant protein powders that are high in soy, because soy has a lot of protein and it carries a lot of good benefits for people. But those are, being in vegetables, I would consider them superfoods myself. The world might not, and that's fine. But they are great nutritional valued foods. We're gonna stack them in with like potatoes that are starches. And I'm nothing against potatoes or corn. I love corn. Don't get me wrong. I'll eat corn on the cob every day of the summer. It is so amazing. But it's a starch. Again, another food we got kind of trying to lose weight, maybe not consume so much of it. So when I hear this stuff, instead of being argumentative against them, like I have originally was starting to do, and yes, I'm wrong on that, allow them to continue their beliefs. I'll try to educate those that are willing to be educated, like through my videos or people I talk to on the daily. And we will come to an agreement that sometimes people just don't want to know, and ignorance is bliss. That's all I got to say on it. I can't explain it any other way, so that's how I'm going to end this. And guys and gals, I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful upcoming week. We got a lot going on, so stay tuned. Don't forget to, stick around, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and give this video a big thumbs up. Really helps with my channel, helps distribute my channel. You can also find me on Facebook, Jedediah Raymond Abendraw, and from there I'll lead you to the group I've created for this channel. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at JedFDK. And as always, if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to me on any of the platforms I just provided, then please send me an email, bmfjed@gmail.com. Guys and gals, stay fit, stay healthy. I'll see you next week.